Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reincarnated in Marvel as a gamer. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 21. The battle continued, and with each passing second the difference between our strengths became more and more clear. The alien was stronger, more resistant, and in general more powerful. But I didn't have to beat him, I only had to kill him. I know that many people think that these two things are the same, but they couldn't be more wrong. Hydra had taught me that, and for a moment I had forgotten it, maybe because I was playing with the heroes, or maybe because I was having fun, but not anymore. "You are getting tired, human," that Barry commented, his arm twitching in excitement. He wanted to kill me. "This ends now." I admitted, mana-wise, I was spent, and the battle had only lasted a few minutes or so. I looked at him, a cold smile on my face as I took a mana potion. The alien hissed, sprinting towards me as I looked around. Cars, trees, civilians, few options, but I really only needed one to work. With a quick sigh, I shot a mana arrow into the ground, momentarily creating a curtain of smoke which I used to dodge him as I ran towards the freeway. "You will not escape." GVYN howled in pure rage, running after me, just as I wanted. With a grin, I looked at the cars stopped in the middle of the road, spotting one with no one inside. Happily, I aimed at the car, smashing the door with a mana bolt. Once near the car, I slid through the door using my telekinesis to increase my speed. Once on the other side, I turned around without stopping, and while GVYN jumped over the car to catch up with me, I pointed at the gas tank with my hands, and with a last grin, I shot a mana bolt at the tank, exploding the car and along with it, GVYN. The explosion was brief but strong, sending me hurtling into the wall of a building nearby, but unlike GVYN, my injuries were minor and treatable. Well, someone would have to scoop up what was left of him with a spoon. You have level up. You have level up. 2 levels, neat. I wonder if Charles and Eric managed to convince Jean. I wondered out loud, as I summoned a few of my HP pots to heal the damage I had sustained during this battle. "Alex." That voice, Aurora. "Hey," I waved at her, drinking the last pot I needed to refill my HP. "Are you okay?" Aurora asked. "I am, Sue. Where is Jean?" I asked. "Hands of the ground." Fuck my life, the military is here. With barely no MP, and Aurora tired as she was, we surrendered to the military. The only reason I had complied was because it would give me the time to regen my mana, and regroup with the rest. I had first-hand tried the mutant collars before, they didn't work on me. Anyway, after they captured us, we were taken into a train. "This is all my fault," Charles started. "Not all, but around 25%, the rest is the cosmic force inside Jean," I chuckled, getting a glare from one of the men that were supposed to keep an eye on us. "Silence." The man glared at me, and I rolled my eyes at him. In a minute or so, I would have my mana back to full, and would be ready to kick some ass. "You disgust me." "I suppose, but still. I should never have lied to her. I messed with her mind, like I tried to do with yours." Was Charles apologizing? "Well, I guess you learned something with this," I muttered. "I guess he did," Eric chuckled. "Now, we have to fix this," Raven muttered. I said shut up. The man hit me with his gun. "Bitch, they are the ones talking, hit them." I chuckled, the attack hadn't hurt, it was more like a love tap at much, but still, why the fuck had he hit me? "I know this might be a long shot, but do you know anything else you haven't told us?" Charles asked, and I sighed. "No," I shook my head. "One more word out of any of you, and I will beat him up," the man growled, pointing at me. "Sorry," Aurora muttered, which in turn made the man start to hit me like a madman with his gun like a bat. "Okay, that's it." I hissed, breaking the collar of my neck with my telekinesis, as I grabbed the man by the chest. "What is your problem with me? They misbehave and I get the beating?" "Stand down," the other men in the room ordered as I used their friend as my shield. How about, nope? I replied, breaking the collar off Eric's neck. You could have done that all the time? Eric asked, slamming the armed men on the walls of the train as he looked at me, breaking the collars off everyone's neck. I could have, but I was considerably tired, and was waiting for my energy to refill, I answered. I could kiss you right now. Scott cheered happily. No homo? I asked, but he didn't reply. Say no homo. No homo? Scott muttered. Good, we good, I sighed. How come the collars didn't work on? You know what, I am done asking questions, let's go and save Jean, Charles said. The Dbari are coming, I said, looking at my mini-map. We'll deal with them, Eric declared, patting me on the back. Charles, Scott. Raven, wake up the little nuclear bomb. Watch it. Scott hissed. He's not wrong though, I chuckled, as the three Eric mentioned went towards Jean. So, how hard are these guys to kill? Eric asked. Harder than a human being, but not so much. The only one that I would be careful of is the blonde one, for she might or might not have part of the Phoenix Force within her. Blonde one bad, the rest cannon fodder, understood, Eric nodded. Chapter 22. I waited with Eric, Beast, and Aurora for the Dbari to breach the train, all while Scott and Charles made their way to Jean's. They are here, I announced, seeing them on the mini-map, already on the train. Let's give them hell, Magneto grinned, blasting the train door open, killing one of the Dbari while doing so. Reicarnated Dbari LV-40, Rump Dbari LV-47, Upperkeo Dbari LV-39. I eyed the Dbari that entered the train and laughed. They were all weaker than me. I kinda expected them to be stronger, like GVYN, he was 30 levels ahead of me. What's so funny? Beast asked. Nothing, I chuckled as I drew my dagger from my inventory, rushing at the aliens ahead. With a grin, I ran towards the aliens, charging my dagger with a focus strike, and using my telekinesis I pulled one towards me, driving the power-charged dagger into his skull, which caused his head to explode, killing him. I then spun with my dagger in hand, cutting the two remaining aliens while dodging their attacks, and as they regenerated, I aimed at them with my hands and fired a couple of mana arrows, blowing their heads off. I'll take the roof, Aurora stated, flying onto the roof of the train through a hole Magneto had made. Hank, help her. Alex and I will take care of the bottom, Eric said with utmost confidence in our abilities. Nodding, Hank jumped behind Aurora, leaving me and Eric alone, as more and more aliens entered the train. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know there were that many, I said, counting the Dbari, who numbered in the dozens. Soon, they'll be extinct, Eric grinned, levitating all the weapons of the soldiers he had knocked out with his magnetism, aiming them at the aliens. Okay, just don't shoot me, I muttered, looking at the guns hovering in the air. I won't, Eric replied, but then added, maybe, in a barely audible tone. I heard that. I chuckled, blasting the aliens off the train with multiple mana bolts. Charles POV. With the help of everyone, Scott and I reached Jean without any problems, but even then Jean was unresponsive, laying on the table as the battle for her life raged on. Whoever these aliens were, they wanted Jean's power, they wanted her, and that didn't necessarily mean they wanted her alive. Scott, guard the door, I said, as I tried to reach into Jean's mind, once again proving futile. This cosmic force she had within her had made her stronger, and beyond power to reach, but what else could I do? Jean, you need to wake up, we need you, I begged, cursing my own weakness as I did so. I know that what I did was wrong, and I deserve no forgiveness, but, you have to believe me, I was only trying to protect you. By this point, I was forcing myself not to cry. I had hurt her. All of this could have been avoided if only I cared for her as much as I did for my cause. Motherfucker. A scream followed by a blur of motion that was Alex being blasted into our cabin was more than enough to tell me our time was coming short. Alex? Scott muttered as Alex stood up. Blast, the bitch. Alex gasped, his torso bleeding. Without hesitation, Scott turned to where Alex had come from, and waited until a figure came out of the dust, walking, the woman that had absorbed part of Jean's power. Growling, Scott moved his hand to his visor, and blasted the woman, who simply continued walking, ignoring his attack. Behind me, Alex stood up, and from thin air summoned a red drink that shimmered under the moonlight, and without a pause, started drinking it. "Wake her up, or we all die," Alex growled, going towards the door to help Scott. Nodding, I turned to Jean and kept trying to wake her up. I knew I could reach her, maybe not with my powers, but with my words and feelings. 3 minutes earlier, Alex POV. It took us less than 3 minutes to kill every single Bari on the train. It was super easy, barely an inconvenience. Most of them were level 40. I alone could have killed them all apparently, save for Vuk and GVYN, who were the exception to this level 40 rule. That was super easy, I smiled. Barely an inconvenience, Eric nodded, though. I have still to see the blonde one you spoke of. Didn't you see her with Jean in the house? I asked. Oh, you mean that woman? Oh, okay, I thought you meant blonde, not white-haired, potatoes, same shit. Well, when she comes, we'll face her together. Oraro grinned, and as if on cue, a new red mark appeared on my mini-map. She's here, I announced, as everyone got into position. With a thunderous landing on the roof, the white-haired bitch, known as Vuk, tore through the ceiling of the train with ease, as if it were made out of paper, and while staring at us she said, "I don't want to kill you." Without giving her time to do anything, I shot 6 mana arrows at her, but to my sorrow, she didn't even flinch. On the contrary, she absorbed my attack and redirected it towards me. Fuck, was all I could say before my own attack, empowered by the Phoenix's force, threw me through the train's compartments like a ragdoll. Okay, energy attacks are a no-go, I muttered, drinking a HP potion, while Eric, Oraro, and the rest attacked her. Focus strike it is, I sighed, dashing towards her, but before I could reach her, she blasted me once again, this time with her telekinesis with enough strength to make me reach the professor and Scott. Motherfucker! I screamed, unable to slow my fall, even with my telekinesis. Gasping in pain, I looked at Scott and said, "Blast the bitch." I hissed, summoning the last few pots I still had to heal my wounds. All this shit was getting out of control, to the point I wished I was dealing with Hydra instead, humans instead of this. At least I would get to see Scott being blasted by her, so that's a plus. Chapter 23. I watched as Scott launched his beam, proving useless against the Might Vuk, who was now level 201, sighing, and somewhat disappointed that she hadn't blasted Scott with his own power as she had done with me. I ran towards her, throwing several focus strikes aimed at her face, but as with everything else so far, Vuk didn't even flinch. Your attempts are futile. Vuk sighed, grabbing me by the neck. You can't blame me for trying. I cracked a smile, drawing my pistol from my inventory to shoot her. Pathetic, Vuk muttered, snapping my arms with his telekinesis. In pain, I fell to the ground, glaring at Vuk in anger. Now, die, and be forgotten. Vuk whispered just for me, her hand once again reaching for my neck, but before she could even reach out to touch me, a telekinetic field appeared around me, Jean's voice echoing in my head. I will protect my family, Jean's voice said, a bit of a stretch considering what happened. And those who stood by them, oh, well, there is my tag. Eat a dick, Vuk, I waved at her, or rather tried, my arms were kinda like a pair of loose noodles. Glaring at Jean, Vuk seemed pissed, and at the same time she seemed helpless, as Jean with a simple move of her wrist sent her flying against the wall like a rag, a nobody, an ant, while at the same time derailed the entire train. And while all of this was happening, I couldn't help but wonder, where was Raven? I mean, last time I saw her, she was with Charles. As if universe itself has decided answering my question, Raven flew past me, in her own telekinetic bubble, courtesy of Jean. Taking a deep breath, I let things play out, as Jean continued to levitate us out of the train while destroying the whole thing, tossing the remains of it into a nearby abandoned location, all while carefully lowering us into the ground as she did so. One on the ground, I took a seat, trying to be as comfortable as I could with my broken arms, as I decided to simply observe what Jean would do now, since she was the only one who could finish this fight. Without mana, and without HP potions to use, I would only be in the way, her way. Besides, she was now stronger than everyone here put together, she needed no help, maybe the other guys did. Jean Grey LV 399. Vuk, who was the sole survivor of the Dbari, stepped out of the debris, walking towards Jean, a smile on her face. You can't control this power. I can. Stop fighting for something you will never be able to win. Jean glared at Vuk, and with an outstretched hand flew up to her, grabbing her by the neck. "You want this power? Take it!" Jean hissed, pumping Vuk with cosmic power. At this I sighed. In the end, Jean would simply die becoming one with the Phoenix Force. Cosmic power floating in the air, Vuk began to disintegrate as a field of the same power formed around Jean and Vuk, eating everything in its path. "You can't kill me, not without killing them." Vuk smiled, appealing to Jean's humanity. "Jean, you don't have to die, just absorb the power she took from you, and then kill her." Not knowing why I interfered, I shouted, hoping she would hear me. Jean looked at me with a smile, and without saying anything she turned to look at the others, her gaze stopping on Charles, who looked at her full of pain, shouting, "Jean, no!" Smiling, Jean lifted Vuk into the air, flying with her into outer space, where I lost sight of her. "Well, so much for saving her." I sighed, looking into the air, aimlessly until a big explosion came, turning the night into day for a brief moment, leaving the image of a phoenix high in the skies. Mandatory quest equals the Phoenix Force. Objective equals the X-Men are about to face their most formidable and powerful foe. Cosmic forces come into play, and the very fabric of reality is at a risk. Help the X-Men during this mission, fight for the sake of the world. Reward equals 5 million EXP, $500,000, psychic immunity. Completed. You have leveled up. 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 So it's truly over. Good. Thanks, Jean, I muttered, looking into the sky. A few days after Jean's death, or rather ascension into godhood, I went to the X-Mansion to pick Emily up. It was time for me to leave this part of my life. So here I was outside the mansion getting everything ready. "Leaving so soon?" Aurora asked, as she came into view. "Yes," I nodded, "I have things to do, and this place is no longer safe, especially considering Charles was closing the X-School, and Raven and Beast were also retiring." "Here," Aurora sighed, handing me a paper, "it's my number." I looked at her, and chuckled, "Are you asking me out?" "What if I am?" Aurora winked, "I will be traveling back to my hometown, but when I come back, I would love to hang out." "Emily would love that," I smiled, putting her number on my inventory. "Be safe." Aurora smiled. "I will," I nodded, getting into the car, checking everything was ready. "Where are we going now?" Emily asked from the back seat, an innocent smile on her face. "I don't know, but it will be awesome," I winked. "Alex Walker, I presume?" I heard someone say, as I was talking to Emily. "Yes?" I turned around to see a man I knew very well. "My name is Nick Fury, and we need to talk." Chapter 24. Nick Fury was many things, but a patient man he was not. And without asking, he got in my car when I told him I didn't have time to talk. With a sigh, I let him stay while I drove. "You're a hard man to find, or should I say you were, before you got involved with the X-Men," Fury began. "What does S.H.I.E.L.D. want with me?" I asked. "Nothing for now, but I'd like to know why you attacked an organization like Hydra. Aren't you afraid to make them your enemy?" Fury asked, opening a chocolate bar as he did so. "Personal reasons, among them that they tried to enslave me, and that they tried to hurt my daughter." I looked at Emily, who was listening to music with the headphones Aurora had bought her. "They tried?" Fury pressed. "They kidnapped me, and tried to break me, to mold me into their image, in the end." It was me who broke them, and I planned to drive them to extinction. I elaborated with a determined look. Fury looked at me, sighing, I don't know whether to believe you and admire you, or doubt you. Fury, believe what you want, I know what I lived through, and I know what I will do, I replied with a smile. I believe you, Fury laughed. Your gaze is that of a man who was killed, who is bathed in blood, but not that of a liar. In fact, you look like a terrible liar. What now? I said. Now I offer you a job, Fury replied. I'm not interested in being the government's bitch, I laughed. Understandable, how about being the part-time bitch? Fury asked, a special agent, to help us wipe Hydra off the face of the earth. Fury, Hydra is everywhere, even in S.H.I.E.L.D. I sighed. Rewind motherfucker, Fury exclaimed, Hydra is where? In S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't know how deep it is, but they have people in charge, agents watching S.H.I.E.L.D.'s every move. I replied. Fury was quiet for a moment, are you sure? Yes, I nodded. Motherfuckers. Fury growled, okay, change of plans, work for me. I looked at him surprised that he had believed me so quickly, for you? Don't look at me like that, believe me I wish I didn't believe you, but like I told you you're a terrible liar, and you're not lying to me. Besides, out of my gut feeling, S.H.I.E.L.D. being contaminated with Hydra would explain why we didn't realize they still existed. Fury explained. If I work for you, or rather with you, there are a couple of rules and favors you must abide by, I said firmly. Which are? Fury asked. No one must know my name. I don't know if Hydra is aware that I'm still alive, but if not, my name would get me hunted, and thus Emily hunted, I replied. 2. I want you to get me and Emily the citizenship under false names. This goes along with point 1. 3. I will not be your slave, my mission is to eliminate Hydra, and that I will do nothing else, unless the world is ending, don't call me. And last but not least, no one must know of our agreement. Since I don't know how deep Hydra's corruption is, one of your bosses could be part of them, and send people after me. Very well, Fury nodded, I find that acceptable. Now about your salary. We'll discuss that later, I chuckled. 2 hours later, I was Tom Maxwell, an American born and raised in the USA, and Emily was Emily Maxwell, my daughter. I didn't want to confuse her with a new name. The new last name was hard enough, though it melted my heart she asked why was our last name Maxwell and not Walker. Anyway, as per our agreement, Fury kept his end of the bargain, telling no one about me. I would know, for no Hydra or S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were around. As for my salary, well, I didn't ask for one, but for a few items, every now and then, guns, knives, swords and more to add to my inventory. Money was really not a problem for me, but finding good weapons was. Anyway, after I settled on New York, I enrolled Emily in a private school, and decided to take a break to analyze what I wanted to spend my stats points on. After all, once I did, there was no turning back. Nick Fury POV. Alex was a strange man, but so was I. I guess the difference between us was the cards the universe had played on us. Regardless of that, he knew more than I did, at least when it came to Hydra, and while every spy instinct I had wanted me to not believe him, I did, for every human instinct I had told me to do so. If he was right, and Hydra was inside S.H.I.E.L.D., then it would all make sense, how they had managed to keep themselves hidden for so long without us noticing, if he wasn't right. Well, the alternative was even scarier, so I didn't want to waste my motherfuckering time on it. At least for now, I had someone that hated Hydra even more than S.H.I.E.L.D. should. Fury, have you found out who did this? Feller asked, and I shook my head. No sir, my gut was wrong during this case. Whoever did this is either dead, or hiding very well, I replied. I see, Keller sighed. Any news from the data team? I shook my head once more. They say it would take them a while to recover any data from what we recovered, but we should have something soon. Very well, keep an eye on that, Keller ordered, and I nodded. As you wish sir, I added before leaving. Fury, I heard you had a rough time during your latest investigation, Agent Smith commented. I guess everyone gets their one, and this was mine, I replied with a chuckle. Chapter 25. After settling in New York in my new cozy apartment, I decided to change a few things in my life for the sake of Emily. I had to be honest, I had been a pretty crappy dad with her, leaving her in places all in the sake of keeping her safe, but what good would that do if she wasn't happy, or rather if I wasn't there. I guess in a way my thirst for vengeance had consumed me more than I thought. If for a moment I thought eliminating Hydra was more important than her, I guess this entire Dark Phoenix scenario had really taught me something. Seeing Charles and Jean struggle like they did really put things into perspective for me. I needed to be better, not only as a father, but as a warrior. I knew this would be hard, and that I had much to learn, but I wanted to be part of her life. I wanted to see her grow, and not through the eyes of others. Hydra would always be a threat, and even if I eliminated their bases, they would inevitably come back. For as long as a single soldier remained, the organization would come back, meaning my hunt would never end. So with that in mind, I decided to hunt them down at a normal pace, giving Emily more of my time, doing normal stuff, like taking her to school or buying her ice cream, stuff a dad is supposed to do. "Can we go to the park?" Emily asked, and I nodded. "Sure," I smiled, happy with my new resolution. "Enjoying your dad duties, huh?" That voice, Fury. "Yes," I nodded. About Hydra, Fury began, but I stopped him. "I will hunt them down, but I need to prepare. Think of them as a disease. I can't purge them off the earth as I am now, nor can you, but we can prepare, grow, and learn," I said, my eyes on Emily as we crossed the street to the park. "And how do we do that?" Fury asked. "By not rushing into things," I replied. "Look. We need more than us to eliminate Hydra, and by us I mean me. You are a normal human, smart, very good at spying, but normal at the end. Hydra is full of people like me. So we need to find more mutants?" Fury sighed. "Not really, just give me time to grow, and I will eventually erase them. Besides, we are already winning against them. I mean, we know they exist, which means we know how to act now." I winked. "I suppose that makes sense, but how the F?" Fury started stopping at the F. AKA FUCK word, how the mother fudgering fudge will deal with them inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. "I will tell you a secret, Fury, because I honestly like you," I chuckled. "I can see people's alliances with a simple glance. If you ever need someone to see if someone is working with Hydra, just ask me, and I will tell you." "That has to be the most useful power I have ever heard of," Fury whistled. "I would kill for that. In the meantime, let's pretend we are ignorant. I will play my role as Tom and you play yours as an oblivious agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Soon we will purge them right out of this world, soon," I sighed. "Well, you are the expert," Fury chuckled. "Can you push me on the swings?" Emily asked as soon as we reached the park. "Yes," I nodded with a smile. "Well, I will leave you to enjoy the pleasures of being a single dad. Bye." Fury waved at us as he left. Stats. Name equals Alex Walker. Occupation equals the gamer. Level equals 92. EXP equals 38751/450428. HP equals 15500/15500. MP equals 20050/20050. STR equals 175. VIT equals 155. Def equals 145. Dex equals 195. Int equals 205. Cha equals 130. Wis equals 172. Will equals 140. Per equals 140. Luck equals 101. Stat points equals 860. Money, $580074. Builds, so many options, and I still couldn't decide. I like them all, but you know what they say, you either master a path, or master none. I guess if I had to pick a favorite, it would be the warrior path, being able to throw hands with the strongest beings in the universe. Magic was good and all, but I had always liked the warrior route a bit more. I mean, in my case, I would still have magic, but it would not be my primary skill. Well, it's decided, beefy route, here I go. I chuckled. Starting to spend my hard-earned points. Stats. Name equals Alex Walker. Occupation equals the gamer. Level equals 92. EXP equals 38751/450428. HP equals 89800/89800. MP equals 20050/20050. STR equals 469. Vit equals 449. Def equals 301. Dex equals 321. Int equals 205. Sha equals 151. Wis equals 201. Will equals 175. Per equals 161. Luck equals 101. Stat points equals 0. Money, $580074. Already from the get-go I felt stronger, like I could break through a wall like it was made out of paper. Now all I had to do was to get a few skills to go with this, mixing my style a little, maybe a sword, oh, and some armor, maybe a vibranium armor and an adamantium sword. It's good to dream. I chuckled. Both of those things were extremely hard to find. One was created and the other was protected by Wakanda. But, not all the vibranium was in Wakanda, so I at least had a way to find some vibranium, through the sins of another man. I guess I'm stealing from Ulysses Clow, but that for later. I have enough enemies as it is right now, and don't want to add others to the mix, at least not now. Can we watch a movie tonight? Snapping me out of my train of thought, Emily came into the rescue. I wanted to see Snow White, right, 1992. Sure, sweetie, I nodded. Yes. Emily cheered, running into the living room. It could be worse, it could be Frozen. Thank goodness Frozen still doesn't exist. If I hear, let it go one more time I will kill someone. Chapter 26. 3 months had passed since the events of the Dark Phoenix and things had changed a lot. For one, my relationship with Emily had significantly improved, with me giving her more of my time, and more than once I would catch her calling me dad, which was more than enough to completely melt me. 2. I was taking a more passive approach with Hydra, prioritizing the locating of their bases over their destruction, for now, and 3. I was farming stats the old-fashioned way. I mean, yes, I had picked a physical build instead of a magical one, but that was not to say I could still stack my INT or other stats to improve my general power. You know what they say, no power is bad power. Also during this time I had decided to become a crafter of sorts, to craft my own items, maybe not on the level Tony would one day do, but enough to make my own shit. I mean, most of what Fury would give me was crap, better than the crap I had, yes, but crap nonetheless. Anyway, with that in mind I had taken up a new hobby, a dad hobby, those hobbies dads do in their garages. I had one now, and it was crafting. Not gonna lie, at times I feel like having this power, classified as the gamer, is a massive cheat. I mean, all it took me to master the art of blacksmithing was 2 months, and a bunch of books and shit. Of course, this alone was technically nothing. Humans are not the best smiths, not by a long shot, so once I became a master smith by Earth standards I had to improvise in order to improve. Can we get pizza? Emily asked from the kitchen, snapping me back to reality, which was now located in my garage. We had pizza yesterday, besides there are beans on the fridge, that will suffice for today, I replied, with a chuckle. Okay, Emily muttered, sounding disappointed. Chuckling at her reaction, I took a deep breath and focused on the task at hand, crafting a new weapon. Taking a step into the forge I had installed in my garage, I took an apron and a pair of gloves from my work table. Time to see if this works. With a sigh, I took an iron ingot and placed it by the furnace in the forge, letting it heat up while I worked on the mana side of things. You see, I was working on a new crafting way that would have worked. Give me stats on the items I crafted, better stats, reason why I was pushing mana into the materials like there was no tomorrow. Once done, I turned around to see ingot was sufficiently hot. Taking a deep breath I fixed a metal wedge between Abel, before using the tongs to take the red hot ingot, then I placed it on the wedge, while praying to the gods, please don't break. Long story short, the thing broke. Again, meaning that if I wanted to craft with magic being part of it, I would need to. One went to Asgard so that I could visit the dwarf that is by no means a dwarf, or, keep trying until it works. Stupid mana forge, I can craft a AK-47, but I can't craft a knife with mana capabilities, entirely different crafting skill. I had Aslo learned how to craft weapons, but wasn't into that as much as I was into crafting swords and stuff. What can I say, it had a novelty to it. Can we watch Snow White? Emily asked from the living room, as I internally groaned. Of all the movies she could have possibly fallen in love with, she did with one of the oldest ones. I guess this is the Frozen of this generation. Are you sure you don't want to see another movie? Like the Aristocats? I asked, in the hope she would pick anything but Snow White. Yes, I love the movie a lot, being a good parent is torture sometimes. Okay, oh well, at one point I will learn to tune it out. Hopefully. I will make some popcorn. Do you want cheese on them? Or lime? Cheese. Emily replied with a giggle. Cheese it is. I chuckled, turning up the stove, to make the popcorn the old-fashioned way. They just tasted better that way. Alex, Emily said as she entered the kitchen, when is Miss Aurora coming to visit? I hummed at that. Last time I spoke with her, she was getting into a plane to visit her hometown. Well, she said she would be back soon, I replied, with a smile, patting her head. You know you can call me Dad if you want to, right? Yes, Emily nodded. Good, I smiled, sending her back to the living room. Hurry up, Dad. Emily called as she ran towards the living room. As she left, I couldn't help but wonder how I would protect her from everything that was going to come. Being a parent was apparently a job with a lot of worries, and in the MCU, I had many, if only I could get her a pet to protect her, and then it clicked me, what if? I did give her a pet that was by all means able to take on most threats like a PetSmart toy. What if I got her a certain alien cat that basically had Cthulhu inside of her? What if I got her Goose, the Flurkin? The poor female alien cat was abandoned in the Pegasus base. Emily, we are getting a cat. Yes. Emily screamed with delight, running back into the kitchen with a wide smile on her face, that if it was any wider, the joke would sue her. I expected a positive response, but not what I could only describe as a 7-year-old on crack jumping up and down. New quest created. Equals adopt a cat, an alien cat. Goose is the adorable yet deadly Flurkin that was brought to Earth by Marvella Cree as her pet and companion, but after her death, the poor mighty Cthulhu cat was left alone waiting for someone to purr with. Now will you be the one to adopt this adorable civilization-eating cat, giving him a perfect opportunity, or would you leave it alone to cause a catastrophe? Objective equals befriend the alien cat and add him to your family. Rewards equals a fierce protector that will eat away all your problems, and your tuna, $150, 150 EXP. Failure equals no cat, Emily sad, Goose sad, no purr. So my cash reward was basically an adoption fee, neat. Oh well, Goose alone was reward enough. Well, tomorrow I'll get to it, but you have to help me take care of it, alright? Yes. Emily nodded so fast, I was beginning to wonder how her head didn't fall off. I guess pets and candy are the drugs for the kids. In this case, pets are crack. That's an analogy I never thought I would use. Chapter 27. It took me a month to find the location of the Joint Dark Energy Mission Facility because I had to prevent Fury from finding out I was looking for it. He trusted me to an extent, as much as a spy could trust someone, and suddenly asking him where a classified site by SHIELD standards was located could break that fragile trust. Now that I knew where the Joint Dark Energy Mission Facility was, all I had to do was break in, adopt Goose, and get out, all without gathering any unwanted attention. So with that in mind, I decided to complete a few dungeons, to gain new skills for this mission, and in less than a week I had already completed 3 of the 10 dungeons that New York had, thus obtaining 3 skills for my use. Savagery LV10, Meditation LV9, Sight LV7, and one I had developed myself, Knockout LV5. Savagery active LV10 equals as long as the user continues attacking without interruption with physical blows, each consecutive blow receives an additional 500 pounds of force compared to the previous one. If the chain of attacks are interrupted, then it resets, and the user has to start the count once more. Meditation active LV9 equals when used, the user regenerates 1% of total HP and NP per second. Sight passive. LV7 equals connected to the minimap, the user can see anything within his minimap range as if he was there. Sight can be used at any given time. And last but not least, Knockout LV5, it allowed me to knock people down with a single hit if I was at least twice their level. 3 very good skills, especially Sight. It was the one thing I envied from Heimdall, his ability to see almost anything, and now I had the trial version of it, I guess, still functional though. Time to adopt a cat, I muttered, as I wondered, what type of food Goose would like. He was an alien cat. Talking about food, what type of litter do cats from the Cthulhu dimension use? Okay, questions for later. Emily. I called. Yes? Emily replied, running into my room. I'm gonna go out, Martha is coming, so be on your best behavior. The sitter I had hired was a trained soldier named Martha Sanchez. I offered her a very stable job taking care of Emily and around the house. She was LV-32, and was very good at hand-to-hand combat, making her the best babysitter in town, also the most expensive. She costed me like $5,000 a month, but it was worth it for times when I wanted to do some dungeons and stuff. Okay, Emily nodded, giving me a knowing smile. Will you come back with our cat? Maybe. I chuckled, now go and put your pajamas. Yes. Emily giggled, running into her room. With a smile on my face, I ran to the living room to pick up my guns before Martha arrived and saw them. Yes, Emily knew of my guns, but Martha didn't. For what she knew, I was just a rich single dad, being overprotective of his little bundle of joy, and to be honest, I didn't want to clarify, it would only open a can of worms I was not ready to deal with. 2 seconds after I finished picking my guns from the living room, I heard a knock at the door. Mr. Maxwell, it's me, Martha. Opening the door, I greeted Martha with a firm handshake. Hello Martha, make yourself at home. How long will you be gone this time? Martha asked, going straight to the point. A day, or two, I shrugged. Very well, same rules? Martha asked. My rules were simple, no one was to be trusted, and she was to always be armed. In case of something, nothing had happened, but better safe than sorry. Yes, I nodded. Now, where is the little princess? And in the blink of an eye, Martha's cold attitude changed. Seriously, I am very close to believe Emily's power is being adorable. I haven't met anyone that doesn't like her. Well, Tyler from her class doesn't, but soon he would not be a problem anymore. Daddy, stop planning Tyler's disappearance. Emily said, narrowing her eyes. I am doing no such thing, I gasped. I was totally doing such a thing, but for now my diabolical plans of finding a way to have him transferred to another school would have to wait, for now. I know that look, Emily muttered, narrowing her eyes even more. Maybe. I relented. Bad daddy, Emily replied, narrowing her eyes even more, to the point they closed. Anyway, take care of my sweet baby, I chuckled, looking at Martha. Will do, Mr. Maxwell, Martha chuckled, as Emily pretended to be blind. Getting to the Mojave Desert in Nevada was super easy, barely an inconvenience. Reaching the facility, well, that was an entirely different matter, but I managed, for all I had to do was reach the facility with my mini-map, which was technically not reaching the facility. I mean, it was close, but not that close. Anyway, to reach the facility I had to avoid a bunch of patrols and such, eventually reaching the fence, where I used my mini-map to locate Goose. I did not want to go room by room looking for the little caddo. The place was huge, enormous, and if I did that it would take me a few hours to search every single room. Let's see, I sighed, using sight as I laid on the ground to avoid being seen. First room, a bunch of soldiers. Second room, 2 girls making out, good for them. Third room, the food court, nice. I continued doing this for every room that had a dot on my mini-map. The dot signified a living being inside, or at least sentient, I don't know. The point is where there was someone, until I saw a dot behind me. I will turn and Goose will be there, I muttered, turning sight off as I turned around. Meow, and I was right. Goose LV-266. The alien cat is higher level than me. Well, that is somewhat hurtful, but understandable, but still, almost 200 levels above me. Jesus fucking Christ, hello there. Goose looked at me, and once again meowed. I want to adopt you, you see. I have a little girl that loves cats, and you would be her perfect companion. I don't know what I was doing. Did he even understand me? Goose approached me, and purred. Is that a yes? I need to learn a skill to understand animals. Quest completed. Equals adopt a cat, an alien cat. Goose is the adorable yet deadly flurkin that was brought to Earth by Marvella Cree as her pet and companion, but after her death, the poor mighty Cthulhu cat was left alone waiting for someone to purr with. Now will you be the one to adopt this adorable civilization-eating cat, giving him a perfect opportunity, or would you leave it alone to cause a catastrophe? Objective equals befriend the alien cat and add him to your family. Rewards equals a fierce protector that will eat away all your problems, and your tuna, $150, 150 EXP. Oh thank God, that was a yes. For a moment I thought Goose was considering eating me. Now, please don't scratch Emily, and I will get you all the tuna you can eat, I muttered, grabbing the apparently almighty cat. Goose purred at my touch, meowing in content approval. Chapter 28. Adopting Goose was super easy, barely an inconvenience, but now I was worried that perhaps the Flurkin was a bit too powerful, though I suppose if Goose ever misbehaves a muzzle could do the trick to stop her. But still, I never expected the cat to be so ahead of me, a few levels sure, but almost 200 levels ahead of me. It never occurred to me, it was honestly quite shocking, but I suppose if I need someone to protect Emily, Goose is the cat for the job. I doubted anyone could get to her now that Goose was our house pet. Anyway, after finding Goose outside the facility and adopting her, I went back to the house to present her to Emily, who as soon as she saw the Flurkin hugged the ever-living crap of it. Surprisingly, instead of acting like a normal cat, Goose purred, content with the situation. Perhaps that was where Flurkins and Earth cats differed. "I'll see you next week, Martha," I waved at Martha as she left the house. Now that I was alone, well, alone without Martha, it was time to level up, and what better way to do so than the new dungeon I had found in New York, a dungeon of my level. I know, shocking. I had found it on my way back from getting Goose. In a way, the dungeon was hidden, but now, I knew where it was, and it was time to finally level up in a dungeon. "Well, I'm off to buy some food, do you want anything?" I asked Emily. "Ice cream?" Emily smiled, Goose purring in content on her arms. "Not food, but sure," I chuckled, turning my gaze to Goose. "Goose, if anyone that is not me comes, eat then." "Okay?" Goose purred loudly as if saying yes sir, as Emily giggled, "How can she eat someone? She's a tiny adorable cat." "Silly dad." Well, I clicked my tongue. How was I supposed to explain this to her? You see, Goose is not your run-of-the-mill cat, he is a super-powered one, in short, and has the tools to back up the ego most cats have. Emily looked at Goose, beaming with even more happiness. "I have a super cat?" she asked, confirming what I had just said. "Yes, and you know the drill," I reminded her. "No one can know," Emily repeated. "Good, now, I'm off to buy tuna for Goose, and food for us," I smiled, patting her in the head, and then Goose, who was staring at me with a look that said, "I deserve petting too, pet me or I shall throw a fit. Remember to bring the ice cream," Emily reminded me, as I opened the door of the house to leave. "Worry not, I shall bring thy ice cream, Princess Emily," I bowed with a wink. "I shall await for you, my knight," Emily giggled, as I closed the door. At the grocery store, I picked all the stuff I needed for Goose and Emily, before going to the cash register. A normal day, until I saw something, or rather someone, a Hydra agent tailing me. Robert Crumb LV28, Hydra agent. If there is something I am glad for is my ability to see titles. God, I love this shit. Anyway, Robert the Hydra agent was following me like a stray dog after you petted him once on the street, tailing my every move from a relatively safe distance. The question now was, when did Hydra find out about me? Again. Perhaps Fury informed someone of my location and that someone was unbeknownst to him part of Hydra, or perhaps someone followed Fury when he visited me last time and now they know where I am. Who knows? I guess I will find out soon enough when I have a heart-to-heart with my ex-colleague, which meant I would have to do the dungeon another time. Outside the supermarket, I put the groceries in my car and got in it, driving to the mall, as Robert tailed me with his car. Seriously, who trained the guy? Even a blind idiot would see he is following me. Well, I suppose not all Hydra agents can be as efficient as I was. Parking my car in a pretty desolated area, I walked to the mall. As Robert followed me, with a smile, I made a turn around and winked at the man, who for a moment stood still. Then getting into position, I sprinted towards him at full speed, which I turned made the Hydra agent try to run. Unfortunately for him, I was way faster than him, and catched up with him. Right hand on his neck immobilizing him, and the left one on his mouth, I ripped the suicide pills from his mouth like taking grapes from the stem. "Now that you can't die because you fucked up, tell me, why are you here?" I asked with a smile, taking my left hand from his bleeding mouth, dropping the suicide teeth on the ground. "I will tell you nothing," Robert hissed as I smiled. "Oh, don't worry, little bird. Eventually, you all sing," I smiled, dragging the man into my car, not without breaking his arms and legs first, to avoid any opposition on his part. "I wonder if little Emily is safe," Robert muttered with a weak smile, trying to aggravate me, but instead of that, all he did was make me chuckle. "Oh, you poor little thing," I snorted, "if only you knew." Emily POV. An hour after Daddy left to buy some groceries, the bad guys came for me. They were once again after us. Why couldn't they leave us alone? What did we do to deserve this? Come, little girl, one of the bad guys approached me, but before he could touch me, Goose came into view yelling at them. Stupid C. Before he could finish that sentence, Goose opened her mouth beyond what should be possible, and several tentacles rushed at the man, swallowing him whole. What in the fuck? The other two men that had entered the apartment muttered as Goose rushed at them, hissing. Chapter 29. I arrived at the house with the Hydra agent that tailed me gagged and cuffed in the back of my car. He would later have to answer a few questions, but that was for after I made sure Emily was okay. Emily? I called as I walked through the door of the house, seeing Goose in front of the door sitting menacingly, like good girl. Dad! Emily cried out moments later, crawling out from under the couch. Bad people came after me, but Goose ate them, she exclaimed. I looked at her with a sigh, noticing that she was a bit scared with the situation, her lips trembling and her eyes full of tears. Gently I walked over to her, crouching down to her level. Don't worry, everything will be fine, I promised her. It was after all time for Hydra to understand that they shouldn't mess with me or my family. I might not be able to eliminate them for good, for their numbers were too vast, and their connections ran too deep, but I would show them that even with all their power and influence, they had to fear me. Besides, I still owed Edward, my first friend at Hydra, a visit, a heart to hear so to speak. Grabbing my phone, I called Fury, who answered right away. Fury? Did something happen? Fury asked on the other end of the line. Why do you ask? I answered, I knew he hadn't betrayed me. Fury was many things, but a traitor wasn't one of them, but still, it was worth asking. Well, you don't ever call me, so, yeah, Fury replied with a laugh. What bitch do we have to kill? Tell me a Hydra bitch. Holding back the urge to laugh, I replied, yes, Hydra tried to break into my house and kidnap Emily. They also sent someone to tail me, that one I caught, and I have him cuffed and ready for interrogation. The ones who broke into my house, those are dead. Fury was quiet for a moment, probably thinking of what to say. Someone must have followed me, but who? Not necessarily. Last time I got caught because Hydra has some type of bloodhounds that detect mutants by scent or something, so anything is possible, I replied, thinking if I could develop a skill to prevent that from happening. I'll be at your house in 2 hours. If you can't wait there, go to my hideout under the abandoned train, Fury replied. Don't worry, I'll wait for you here, but if I need to change locations I'll let you know, I replied, hanging up the phone. Where are we moving to now? Emily asked, her shaky voice making me feel worse than I already did about the situation. I wanted to give her a normal life, but sadly that would never be possible. Hydra had taken that away from us. They were a disease that was impossible to fully cure, at least in the span of a human life. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, nothing will ever happen to you, I smile at her, giving her a big hug. I'm scared. I don't want to lose you. Emily hugged me tightly, tears streaming down her face. Hydra was a disease for which I had no cure yet, but everything in this universe had a cure, and with the snap of a finger I could cure the earth of this cancer, forever. But before that, I had to become stronger, for I would not be the only one after such power. An hour and 30 minutes later, Fury arrived at my apartment, ready to help. By that time, I had already managed to put Emily to sleep so that I could talk with Fury freely, leaving her with Goose in her room, both sleeping on the bed. Where are the bodies? Fury asked, as he entered the apartment. My cat ate them. Now, we need to discuss how to attack Hydra, I said, taking a seat in my living room. Wait a fucking minute, Fury said, holding up a finger. Your cat did fucking what? He ate the intruders, I replied, holding back the urge to laugh. A cat? Fury muttered, it ate. Is the cat a fucking mutant too? No, it's an alien, I replied. Almost as if feeling she had been summoned, Goose went down to the living room to get some water from her bowl. That cat? Fury pointed his finger at Goose. Yes, I nodded. Okay. Fury said, taking a couple of steps away from Goose. She won't eat you, I chuckled. Everyone says that about their pets, and boom, next thing I know, I end up in the litter box, so yes, I don't fucking want to go near him. Her? Fury replied, looking at Goose as if the cat was a nuclear weapon. Her, I corrected him. Well, outside of the clearly terrifying cat you have, we have an organization to attack. Fury cleared his throat to reinforce the point. We have nothing to do. I corrected him. You have a role to play. If you keep up the way you're going, you'll soon be the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., and in that position you'll be able to do more than what you can right now as agent. I, on the other hand, have nothing to play, so all I need from you is information and resources, and I'll take care of the rest. I don't like that, but considering you have a human-eating cat that can take a trained group of assassins like cat snacks, I reckon you are right, Fury sighed. Right now, all I need from you is a jet, I nodded. I am an agent, not fucking Tony Stark, Fury stated. I don't have jets on my garage. No, but, you know where the best ones are, I grinned. I see, Fury laughed. You are one tricky motherfucker. Fine, I'll find the best one, and let you know where it is, just don't get caught, he chuckled. I doubt anyone from S.H.I.E.L.D. can catch me, I chuckled. Maybe Black Widow, but only because she seems like a resourceful gal, but even her I doubted. I wonder what level she is. Chapter 30. With Fury's help, I was able to infiltrate Stark Industries, stealing one of the jets they had for sale. Then I began to fly said jet, with Fury hiding my tracks from military radars with his S.H.I.E.L.D. credentials. As I flew around the country, marking Hydra bases I would find on a map as I found them. I won't lie, I love my map function. Is probably the best function of my power, by a long shot. After I had all the Hydra bases in the USA marked on my map, I threw the stolen jet into the sea with a handmade bomb courtesy of Fury, timed to explode in a few hours. I wanted to be sure no one would track the jet's disappearance back to me. The USA alone had no less than 100 bases, and a bunch of small, safe houses, meaning it would take me years to purge every single base. No, what I needed was to target the biggest ones, leaving a message to them to not bother me anymore. Which is why, right now, I was outside the biggest base so far, using sight to determine how dangerous this particular base was. So far nothing to worry about. Like any other base, it had a bunch of soldiers, nothing that would make me sweat. At least, that was until I reached the basement, where a bunch of high-level individuals were frozen in place, quite literally. What in the fuck are the Winter Soldiers doing there? I muttered in a bit of shock. I mean, if I remembered correctly, they were supposed to be in Siberia. I mean, at least they stated that on Captain America, Civil War. So why were they here? Had they moved them? Joseph LV-94, Alexander LV-84, Friedrich LV-86, Walter LV-90, Anna LV-87, Bucky Barnes LV-135. Well, fuck me, this changes everything. Now instead of busting inside their base 90s action movie style, I need to infiltrate and kill those popsicles bastards before they can get activated. Save for Bucky, I reckon Charles can help me help him with the brainwash. Well, time to infiltrate. It was relatively easy to infiltrate the base, considering I worked for Hydra, and knew a bit about their security systems. Granted, the security system they had in place was different, and the base was considerably bigger than the one I used to reside in, but in the end I managed, all thanks to sight. All I had to do was watch the soldiers use the codes, and use them myself. Worst case scenario, the codes don't work, and I have to run as far away as possible. Now once inside, it was all a matter of not being caught, which I had solved by killing a random agent that had crossed my path during my infiltration with knife to the throat, and then like in a cartoon, I stripped him butt naked, and took his clothes. They were a bit tight, but they would suffice. Now I was hidden in plain sight, sometimes the best place to hide if you ask me. People always overlook what's right in front of them. However, regardless of my trust on this plan, I was using sight. To avoid being caught, I basically had an eye on the surveillance room at all times, and one on the path I was taking. It was like looking left and right at the same time. It was hard, but it was safe. Also, every now and then I would switch to see the body of the agent I had killed to verify no one had discovered the corpse. And like that, I traversed through the base without being caught. Granted, it took me longer than I would have liked, but I did it the safe way. Now all I had to do was figure out how to open the room where the Winter Soldiers were, something I was trying to do while I hid in one of the broom closets. Using sight, I found a vent that led into the room, big enough for me to crawl in and break into the room, a ventilation vent I supposed, but just to be sure, I followed the vent to its starting location, finding a gas tank, probably there in case they needed to force the Winter Soldiers to sleep. This alone brought a bunch of difficulties. If they gassed the room, I would be captured, meaning going into the room without a clear exit was a suicide. No. I had to find the key to the room, but where to look? The place was massive, it had hundreds of rooms. Finding that even with sight would be a pain in the ass that would take me hours, perhaps even more. And that was assuming I had the time. I mean, considering I had killed someone to hide in plain sight, that body would eventually be discovered, leading into a full lockdown and possible activation of Bucky. In short, I had but one option: enter the room within the hour, or risk a fight I am not sure I can win. I mean, Bucky alone is one thing, but the entire base, plus Bucky, I don't think I can handle that. Heck, I am not sure I can handle Bucky alone altogether. I should learn how to hack, I sighed. If only I knew how to hack, this entire dilemma would be nothing but a minor inconvenience at best. Taking a deep breath, I used sight on the room where they were keeping the Winter Soldiers, seeing two men enter the room followed by a bunch of other people. They were talking about something, in German, so I was completely clueless. Hydra never taught me German. I know, stupid considering they origin from Germany. Then again, they probably didn't want knowing too much. Then, all of a sudden their conversation ended, and they moved Bucky out of the room as they left, leaving only the other Winter Soldiers. Now I had to decide, do I, 1, follow Bucky and the men that took him, or 2, stay and kill the other Winter Soldiers? That wraps up this part of What If Reincarnated in Marvel as a gamer. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.